Hello, Wes.
What's happening, Josh? How are you? I'm driving
You're
right now.
driving.
I shouldn't be doing this. I actually just had one quick question. So I signed up with my Hotmail, which is an old email, and I just started my own LLC. So is it okay if I sign up with this on that separate email and just delete the other email?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, that was really the only thing other than like on a weekly, I don't know if I'll be able to join on a weekly basis just because of everything. And then like, frankly, because I'm so far out, like, I don't know. Like I have thoughts on like, should it be like, I was thinking at least once a month to keep me like on track. But I mean, what do you like, what's your experience? And maybe it just depends on the stage of where I'm at too.
Well, you got the workbook, right?
Yeah, I did. I
And
have it. I haven't done anything with it yet, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, I'd say if you've got the workbook and you're in the early stages, just stick to the workbook, pop in whenever you have a question, but I would be going through the workbook and using that as my main source of instruction and figuring out what to do.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, this group
Okay.
is really supposed to be an addition to the workbook. It's like you use the workbook, and then if you have other questions or you're like, how does this apply to me? Or I've got this specific question, then you show up here to the group.
Yeah. No, awesome. No, I that's way cool. That's absolutely probably how it should work too. So cool. Thank you so much, Josh. I appreciate it. I actually really look forward to working with you and I'm excited to publish my stuff too. I
Awesome.
just a lot, of course, a lot going on as always. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, thank you. Anything else for today? I mean, that's
No, where are you driving?
right now. Well, I live in Vernal, Utah right now, so I'm driving in a little bit. Right now, I'm just actually just driving downtown. I'm meeting with a colleague of mine, and then we'll be driving. We love the events at BYU, my wife and I. So we're gonna go to an event tonight with our kids at BYU. So and it's her birthday this weekend, so that's why we're gonna head out there.
Cool. All right. Well, have fun with that. And yeah, we'll see you when we see you.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks, Wes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey Josh, good to see you.
And hello, Nicole. You guys popped on at the exact same time.
Oh, good.
That took me a minute.
Made it.
I had to make a new password.
Ah, that happens sometimes. Well, I'm in different surroundings today. I'm babysitting at my brother-in-law's place, so I'm using his home office for this call today. I don't get my fancy bookcase behind me today.
They on a trip somewhere, and you guys are taking care of
Yep.
kids. Fun.
Yep.
Fun.
I feel like
Um,
I feel like when I've got those books behind me, I feel like it's more proper, right? Like, I mean, if I'm a book coach, then I've got to have that big bookcase full of books behind me. But
Well, you
I
have
feel a little bit
pictures of
naked
people's
without my books.
experiences, and that's what people write about. So, still work.
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
Well, great. Well, who wants to go first? Who's got questions?
I actually do not. I'm going to be kind of a passenger today. I'm going to be out of town next week, so I'm going to miss that one, and then Haven't been here and you haven't been here in a couple of weeks, so just wanted to sort of check in and listen to the great advice I hear you give other people, but I don't have anything really to work on this week. I
All
need
right, fair enough.
questions for.
All right, well, let's go over to Jeff then.
Okay, so I mean, you're very aware of where my book's at. Brent's doing a great job on the editing. So a couple things. One of the things I'm trying to finalize right now is, or get closer and closer, is the cover design. So my wife's actually doing the cover. I've got a bunch of iterations of it, and we can keep playing with it. But if you're willing, I'd actually just share my screen and show you what I've got, and
Yeah, let's
see what you like or don't like about some of the different options here. We get some feedback.
Sounds good. Let me know if it will let you share or if I need to make you co-host or something.
It looks like it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So all of the iterations here have a few elements. So the background kind of grid is engineering graph paper, like specific to engineers use. So it very much on theme for the audience here. The things that we're kind of tweaking and changing is where the text is, the pen, or some of the iterations as a pencil, and then also what kind of the background sort of designs that exist are. So most of them have this kind of gear stuff behind, but there's a couple other iterations at the bottom. So one piece of feedback that I've gotten is like, hey, this is a pen. I like the nice look of the pen, but like the look of this looks like it's in pencil, so that doesn't really necessarily fit. But I don't really like the look of a number 2 pencil either, necessarily. You know, and then you can have the subtitle right up under the main title, or kind of underneath some of that. That's another kind of way to do that. Similar hit on that with whatever thing right underneath there, like that acts as a separator.
That's cool.
This is a mechanical pencil, so still with the pencil, but looks a little bit more. We haven't found yet like a nice looking, someone's like, hey, maybe there's a Mont Blanc pencil, a really nice one that we could find. I haven't found that yet as far as an image that we could throw on there, but that would be an option too, to find a really nice looking pencil like that. Anyway, and then the main other iterations are down here at the bottom, more of a like, hey, wire diagram type thing, motif here. And then this is like, equations or something that you might have, just as that idea of, instead of like the gears or whatever in the background. Just curious if anything strikes you as, that seems to work, that doesn't. Definitely we'd probably move things around so we wouldn't have a bunch of this stuff behind the main like title text and whatever, but it's more just the ideas behind it that we're trying to figure out right now.
Okay. Cool. Well, my first comment is you could use any of these and it would be fine. It would be okay. Yeah. But let's dig into the nitty-gritty a bit here. What would you say, in your mind, what's the most important part of this cover? What's the most important element?
The title?
I mean, not based on what you're looking at, but if we're just designing from scratch, what should stand out the most?
Yeah, the title. Or from
That's
design
what I'd say
beyond
too.
just, yeah.
Because it is the title that hooks people, that gets people to actually read your book. I mean, sometimes cover design, the image, the graphic photo, whatever, the illustration is going to do it. But especially with a how-to business book like this, it's really the title that's going to get people to read it. And when you look at that title, which part of the title would you say is the most important or should be the most important?
So we've certainly emphasized the intentional word, right, in here. So that's what I've been attempting to differentiate that word to make that stand out.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have a answer to this. I'm not trying to steer you in any direction. This is how I think about cover design is what do I want to stand out? What do I want people to notice first? So just by comparison, when I was writing my LinkedIn book, the number one thing I wanted to stand out was the word LinkedIn because I wanted people to know this is a LinkedIn book. And so I made sure that the word LinkedIn was the biggest thing on the cover and stood out more than anything else. In your case, it would be easy to say, well, we want engineer to stand out because this is a book for engineers. However, I'm not sure that is the right way to go here. I think maybe you have got it right with having intentional stand out more because you do see the word engineer pretty quickly. It's not like it fades into the background. I mean, it stands out. And I'm just thinking here
And
as
the
I look at it,
design
but
very much speaks clearly to, like, anyone who has gone to engineering school knows, will identify with the background.
yeah, I feel like it's pretty clear this is a book for engineers. And if there's any doubt, the subtitle really makes it obvious. So if an engineer looks at this and something in the back of their mind says, wait, is this a book for me? All they have to do is read the subtitle and they'll say, okay, obviously, yes, it's a book for me as an engineer. Okay, so then as far as the illustrations go, I agree with the point you made about not having the illustrations go right behind the text, like the subtitle text. I understand you're just moving things around right now. Yeah, on that one that you commented on, that had stood out to me that the illustrations were interfering with the subtitle, but I know you'll
Right. That was,
get that
there's a lot
since you
going
brought it
on
up.
here, but it's,
Yeah, you're just mocking things up and trying things out, so I get that. I agree that the pen doesn't fit and a pencil would be better. I see why you don't like the number 2 pencil. When you were saying that, I was thinking, well, is there some sort of mechanical pencil that would make sense? I don't know if there's is there any sort of standard pencil that a lot of engineers use? Or is it just
there's
kind of,
not.
okay.
Yeah, there's not. But and this
It's not
one
like
looks like,
use,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, this one looks
Yeah,
okay, but it
something,
doesn't look like really clean and nice either. It looks a little bit
yeah,
schoolish, you know?
yeah, it's a little bit of a complicated pen, right? I mean, that's the nice thing about the number 2 pencil is your mind just kind of checks it off and says, it's a pencil. I'm not
Right.
supposed to get anything out of this. It's just a pencil. It connects with the
Yeah.
diagrams.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about the number 2 pencil. And so if there's a mechanical pencil, I mean, that mechanical pencil, the gray one, there's just, it could be a little bit simpler. It just, there's every little thing distracts people. So people get hung up on every little design thing that's on the pencil. And we're not trying to attract attention to the pencil. We're just trying to have people say, okay, pencil, great.
Right.
And so, yeah, I would say a different mechanical pencil would fit better than the one that's in there,
Yeah.
but
This
and the
is a great
simpler,
way
the better.
to separate those two, your headline from what you have underneath it as well.
Yeah. Like
Mm-hmm.
having this right
This looks
underneath
nice
the
and clean. The
title.
first one looks the best, but that's not the right utensil, unfortunately.
Right. You like that one the best.
Yeah.
I mean, we might remove at least this one because that's kind of behind the text.
Yeah,
And
you
then
want to
adding
think
in
about the
these little
balance, the
things
stuff
here,
in the
like
back.
some of these words that we're talking about, they're just sort of, clarity and goals and decide and some of that stuff, just sort of hints about some of the things that we're going to be addressing in the book, but I don't know how that supports or not some of the stuff.
Yeah, I go down to the one where the pencil's flat again.
This one?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It does create some nice separation. I don't know if it needs to be flat to separate it, but I mean, there's something kind of precise about it being flat, which kind of reinforces the whole engineering ethos of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that stereotypical image of the engineer having a desk where everything is straight and lined up on a grid, including the pencil, that it's not diagonal
Yeah, I
right.
haven't met a whole lot of those in
Yeah.
practice. But
Yeah, I think that's probably just a funny thing that people put in movies, but um although my dad's an engineer and he's not quite that precise about how he organizes his desk, but
yeah, neither am I.
he's probably more organized than most, though. He's not one of those messy desk guys, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
That one, the one above is the one that has, I think, the best visual balance right now in terms of what goes on behind.
the one thing I would not do is I would not have it tilting down to the right. If you think
Not
about the
down to the
graph,
right.
yeah,
Yeah. So
there was one
at
where it
least
was
tilting
tilting,
up to
yeah, because it's
not
like
that.
like that. It's like a graph, right? We like to see graphs go up rather than
Yeah.
down, and so
So even if the point isn't pointed that way, like still, like it's okay
yeah,
if the point is on the bottom left. We're not saying we're going backwards here, but like the
right,
visual, like our eyes go from left to right, and so it still looks
yeah,
like it's an upward trajectory if we're going to do that.
exactly. Um, yeah,
Yeah. So
I
maybe
think I
finding a really clean mechanical pencil that's not distracting.
mhm.
And then experimenting with either, yeah, I guess then the other question is like the subtitle right next to the title
Mm. I'm not a fan of that.
versus
I like the
having the
separation.
separation. Okay.
Yeah, I
At
like some
least this
sort of
sort of
separation.
separation, or the separation where you've got like, all this stuff and then
Yeah,
go like this.
I like some separation. I would also
Mhm.
give the title more space. So I would move the title down and everything else down and kind of give the top half of the cover to just the title kind of by itself. Like just give it some space up there.
Mhm.
Because it is the most important thing. And so some of these, it kind of feels like the title is being crowded out by everything below it. And
Yeah.
I would make it visually obvious that the title is the boss, that it gets the most attention.
So this one looks,
Nah,
at least, I mean, it just looks cleaner around the title. There's not other stuff going on.
yeah. I mean, I like that one, but I would push
Right.
the
Right.
pencil
But
down,
push,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
push this
put some more
down.
space between the pencil and the title and the pencil
Mhm.
and the subtitle and just push things down.
Okay.
Um,
Cool. All right.
but yeah,
That's,
those are some thoughts.
yeah.
Hope
Okay.
that's helpful.
It is. It helps kind of on the refining process, which is what we're doing here.
Yeah,
Trying to
but
be
they all
better.
look great. They all look good. The other thing is you might want to include a blurb at the top of your book, like a testimonial from someone. And so that's another reason to push the title down and give yourself some more space in case you want to put something up there.
Mhm.
Just like a one-liner from some famous engineer person or something. You can
Yeah.
always have just a one-liner testimonial thing about the book up there. And that looks good and just adds a little bit of create
Mhm.
or authoritative flair to the cover.
Yeah. Cool. Very good. All right.
All right.
That's the big thing I'm trying to work on. There's a bunch of stuff that I know I need to push hard on getting ready for the publication process once we get on the other side of editing, and I need to, like, I pretty much know what it needs to happen. I just need to go do that. So
I forget, are you doing a hardcover of this?
I'm in between. I mean, I was kind of anticipating doing that, but I'm trying to decide. So I'm curious for the reasons to do a hardcover or not. I mean, it feels nice to have a hardcover, like, hey, that's cool. But if I'm gonna, the purpose of the book is to support the business, and if I'm gonna send that out, obviously the costs are a little bit less if I'm gonna give away a bunch of copies to people. If it's soft cover, but maybe it's a better impression with the hardcover and all that stuff. So still trying to decide that, honestly. Just so open to your thoughts on reasons to do it, versus not.
Yeah. So if you do a hardcover, it's not that much more work. It's a little bit more work. So there's a little more hassle involved. You have to design a dust jacket for it, which is different slightly than the other cover. But you're talking about an extra few hours of work there to get the dust jacket. You have to set up an account with Ingram Spark. You have to go through that process. I'm not going to say it's pain-free, but it's not that bad once you've already done the work for the paperback.
Right.
And I think it does provide a better impression if you're sending that out to people for somebody to get a hardcover versus a paperback. There's something about a paperback that kind of screams self-published, whereas once you do a hardcover, people assume that it came through a reputable publisher. There's just a little subconscious bit there. So, and as far as the expense goes, off the top of my head, I think if you order like 100 or 200 books from Ingram Spark to give away, I think you'll probably be looking at somewhere around like $10 to $12 a piece. And I could be off on that. It could be 15 or something. It's probably not lower than 10 to 12. But that's more than a paperback, but we're talking about a couple $100 more for buying a bunch of hardcovers to send out.
Yeah.
And when you look at the potential benefit that would come from, it's not like the paperback versus the hardcover is necessarily going to make that difference between somebody hiring you, not hiring you, or calling you, not calling you. But it could be a contributing factor that kind of tips things over or something, right? And so when I look at the potential benefit of the hardcover versus the extra expense and time, which is a couple hours and a couple $100, I feel like it's worth it to do the hardcover with the dust jacket.
Okay. And do you have to do anything with the actual the cover itself? Like what's behind the dust jacket? Like, so sometimes it's got like a really plain something when you have a book there.
No,
is it just
they don't really
completely plain?
They don't really
do
give
anything
you.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't really give you many options there. I think you might have like two options. Like, do you want blue or do you want brown? It's kind of
okay. So it's just completely plain, doesn't even have the title on there, because sometimes they have like a title on there underneath that's just like really plain, and sometimes it's just completely blank. And so, just curious.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think. If I were at my house, I would pull my book off the shelf and look at it, but I'm nearly 100% sure that there's nothing on the cover. It's just a blank cover.
Yeah. And I'm looking at
it's
other
blue
hardcover books, and they have it on like the spine. It looks like sometimes, here's like Benjamin Hardy's last book, but like the cover is completely.
Yeah, and I don't think mine even has anything on the spine at all.
Yeah, I'm seeing it looks like.
Not that it matters. People generally don't remove the dust cover. Yeah, so
if they do, they don't really care. Like, oh, it doesn't say anything there.
Yeah.
Anyway. The few I'm looking at, just have the spine thing printed as I look at it, but you know, that'll all be in the settings.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's an option if I want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, you could figure out how to get it done, but that's the type of thing I would say really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, what, so I'm working through this stuff. What's generally, in your experience, the timeline for once you submit to Amazon? Do they give you a proof first and then it goes live? Like, what does that process look like as you're sort of moving through that?
Yeah, there are different ways that you can do this. So one way is you can get a proof from Amazon, and then when it comes, it says proof on it, like they kind of print it on the cover. When my wife was printing her first book, she was kind of in a rush, so she actually just put the book up for sale and then just ordered a copy of her own book, because the overall timeline to getting it live and out there was faster that way than if she went through the whole proof process. And so, and she wanted to see what the book really looked like when it was done versus getting a proof from them. But with some
But it
of her
still takes a
clients that
few
she's
days
working with,
between submission and when they put it live, like it's ready to sell, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Is that like a
yeah.
week,
So for
2 weeks-ish?
it can be anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. It just depends on, I'm assuming, like supply chain stuff and how many books they're dealing with getting approved.
Okay.
You might ask Bryn about that, because she's gone through this process within the last month with one of her other
Right.
clients. So it's all fresh in her mind, and she knows exactly what it took right now for that.
Cool. Okay.
All right. Any other questions? We've got a small group today, so.
I know. I don't think so. I think it's mostly just gotta go execute on some of this stuff and get it done quickly.
All right. All right. Well, since it's just the two of you and we're all done with questions, we might just wrap things up right here and call it good. Nicole, is there anything else that you want to talk about or ask?
Not right now. Just kind of working through your book and working through my vomit draft, and doing well because I'm not focusing on editing or critiquing at this point. I'm trying to get my ideas out, and it's kind of a big mess, but yeah, those are things also that will be helpful to me as well, because those are things that I'm thinking about as well. It's like, what do I do? And I need to edit this, and what am I going to do about the jacket? And helpful conversation to hear.
Yep. All right. All right. Sounds good. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks,
And
Josh.
we'll talk to you next week then.
Yep. Cheers.
Okay. Bye-bye.